Each of us writes the story of our lives through our thoughts, our deeds, and our activities with one another. These accounts are stored in what the readings called the Akashic Records, and it was from this place, as well as from the minds of the individuals for whom he was giving the readings, that Edgar Cayce gathered his psychic information. Although the readings cover thousands of topics such as, who am I? Why am I here? And what is the purpose of life? Many can be categorized into subject areas such as health and healing, philosophy and reincarnation, dreams and dream interpretation, ESP and psychic phenomena, and spiritual growth, meditation, and prayer.
When I think of Edgar Cayce, I think of more than the psychic man, I think of health.
For all healing comes from the one source. Whether there is the application of foods, exercise, medicine, or even the knife, it is to bring to the consciousness of the forces within the body that aid in reproducing themselves, which is the awareness of creative or God forces.
Cayce saw total health as encompassing the physical, mental, and spiritual components of the individual, and offered important insights into how each of us can stay well. The readings make recommendations for hundreds of health concerns, from diet, childbirth, and longevity, to arthritis, cancer, and psoriasis. Called the father of holistic medicine, Cayce was ahead of his time in describing the workings of the human body and foreseeing the direction of health care. Not only did Cayce prescribe treatments for patients, occasionally he even recommended certain doctors for them to go to, although he had no conscious knowledge of them. One such individual was Dr. Harold J. Riley.
I got to know him personally as well as through the readings. The important fact is that these readings were so erudite, and the more I went into them, the more I realized the basic philosophy of the readings were the things that I myself had learned in the different disciplines that I had studied. Usually it was a combination of therapies, all of which worked into what I used afterwards as a current word name called CARE, C-A-R-E. And that stands for circulation, assimilation, relaxation, and elimination. And believe me, when you get those things going in the body, the body doesn't have too much chance to become a good culture medium for a germ.
One of the early readings that was so startling to me, we were in New York, and this lady was having a reading for her son, who was ill. And at the end of this reading, after Mrs. Cayce had given him the suggestion to wake up, he started talking again. He says, we have here the body of Clara Inlow. We would advise that she have surgery for this condition. And I didn't know who Clara Inlow was, where she lived, or anything. And we got back to Dayton 2 or 3 days later, and there was a letter from this lady saying that she just wanted his advice. So she apparently was just thinking about him and about getting his advice, and the reading came through.
The number one thing is mind, body, spirit. He brings it all together and hands it to you on a silver plate. Here it is. This is you, the universe, the earth, everything in a nutshell.
It was the health information that led the Cayce family to Virginia Beach in the mid-1920s. One of Cayce's lifelong dreams was to build a hospital and to form an organization that would work with his psychic information. The readings advised the location, Virginia Beach, then a small resort town, and it was there that the hospital was built. Although lost during the Depression, the building was bought back in the mid-50s, and from that day forward became association headquarters. Today, the principles of healing remain the same and are explored by individuals, physicians, researchers, and healthcare practitioners throughout the world.
We find that these conditions arose as the result of what might be called occupational disturbances. Not enough in the sun, not enough hard work. There has been plenty of brain work, But the body is supposed to coordinate the spiritual, mental, and physical. He who does not give recreation a place in his life and the proper tone to each phase, well, he just fools himself. Someday he pays the price.
The consciousness, our soul, continues. We didn't start here, nor do we end here. It's sort of the idea that we are in the body at this particular time in a given lifetime, but once we pass out of it, we still have our individuality. In other words, the soul survives. And that was Casey's view, that we change places. We go to different realms of consciousness, but we never really die.
To find that you lived, died, and were buried under the cherry tree in grandmother's garden does not make you one whit a better person. But to know that you spoke unkindly and suffered for it, and in the present may correct it by being righteous, that is worthwhile. For each soul constantly meets itself. And if each soul would but understand those hardships which are accredited much to others are caused most by self, know that in those you are meeting thyself.
The Casey approach to reincarnation provides a philosophical setting to the past, focusing on practical ways of dealing with this life, living, growing, and being of service to one another in the present, in this time, in this place, right now.
The Casey readings tell an extraordinary story about how life is meaningful and purposeful, and we're all here on a grand purpose. But then they get even more specific and say that everybody is here on a specific mission, that each of us has come with unique talents and abilities and strengths to contribute something and to grow in a very special way, a very particular life path. And when Edgar Casey gave life readings to individuals, and there's about 2,000 of them, he wasn't just telling them stories about their past lives, he was helping them see their mission or their purpose for this lifetime. And that's something each one of us can discover for ourselves.
If you want to know what you need to work on in life, look at the people that you keep attracting to you. And if you want to know what you have to work with, look at the positive people in your life, because you can see your own strengths and weaknesses in other people.
I feel that this material gives people a better way of living their lives. It's a philosophy of tolerance and openness, and invites people of all backgrounds to come and share and to learn from one another, to find out more about themselves as people.
If you don't apply, you're not going to learn. And if you apply incorrectly, you'll have to correct. And every jot and every tittle has to be accounted for. And we used to sometimes laughingly say, the jots and the tittles are upon us.
Karma is only memory. It is not destiny. One's past merely provides a framework of potentials and probabilities. An individual's free will determines the actual experiences he or she has in the present.
Know that it is not all just to live, not all just to be good, but good for something, that ye may fulfill that purpose for which ye have entered this experience. And that purpose is that ye might know yourself to be yourself, and yet one with the creative forces, or God.
Dreams are given to us for our benefit, to learn from, to grow with.
The dreams as we see that come to the entity are those correlations of the physical with the subconscious forces of the body. And from same there may be gained those truths, those lessons, which, used aright, may be for the development of the body spiritually, mentally, financially.
Hundreds of Casey readings deal with the subject of dreams and dream interpretation. The dream state is one of self-examination, but it is also much more. A storehouse of all of our wishes, hopes, and memories of past experiences. Dreams can diagnose the cause of physical ailments. They can point out thoughts and emotions that we have perhaps tried to overlook, and they can make suggestions for improving our relationships with others.
Dreams can be a catalyst for change in our lives. They can also be reaffirming that we are headed in the right direction, that they can give us sort of a spiritual upliftment that we might really need at a given time.
Perhaps one of the most significant statements regarding dreams from the Casey readings is that nothing of significance ever happens to us without it first being foreshadowed in our dreams. Casey's life story contains many different examples of ESP, such as telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, and retrocognition. Telepathy is also known as mind-to-mind communication. Once, while in Kentucky, Casey gave a reading for a man in New York. Casey saw the man smoking a cigar, heard him whistling a particular song, saw him meet with another man about a piece of investment property, and then watched him look over 3 pieces of mail. These events were later verified.
They gave him the suggestion and said, you will have before you the body of so-and-so who was supposed to be in an apartment in New York. He lay there a minute and he says, we do not have the body. Said, he's not here. Said, he's on a bus coming across town. Said, there's been an accident and the traffic's tied up. Said, there's a delay. He'll be here in a few minutes. We'll wait. He lay there for 15 minutes, didn't say a word. And at the end of that time, he says, he's come in now. He proceeded to give the reading. Well, when he said he's come in now, he then got up and went in the other room and called the man on the phone. The man said, that's exactly right. Said, I know I was supposed to be in my apartment, and I was on the way there, and I was on a bus, and there was a lot of traffic, and the bus was late, and I just this minute walked in.
I felt an instant attraction to this man. He seemed so, well, I just trusted him, and I didn't think anything about his readings. When I sat there and listened to it, it was just like any other job of taking dictation. One day during a reading, he said a string of words, so I was wondering whether I should put a dash or comma or just how to word this. And over there asleep on the couch, his eyes closed, he said, put a comma between these. and a few times he did that, and other people learned that it was good to be present for the reading, because if they thought of questions, he would answer them without being asked.
Although the readings discuss major global, political, and social upheavals, they also provide some inspiring insights into humanity's collective future. Casey predicted that the time would come when every individual would realize their responsibility toward one another, a realization that would change the thought of humankind. During the height of World War II, he saw a united world, a renewed sense of spirituality all over the planet, even an international currency. He predicted an alliance with Russia, freedom out of communism, democracy out of China, and the discovery of Atlantis. To him, these psychic experiences were a natural byproduct of spiritual attunement.